Charlie Chaplin is best known for the role of the tramp, but being born into poverty, his journey to becoming one of the most recognizable comics in history was long and arduous. He did come from a family of artists, with his father being a versatile vocalist and actor, and his mother known under the stage name of Lily Harley, who was an actress and singer gaining reputation for her work in the light opera field. Charlie was thrown on his own resources before he reached the age of 10 after the early death of his father and the subsequent mental illness of his mother. Being thrown into tragedy at a young age, Charlie had learned to fend for himself along with his brother Sidney. Chaplin made his professional debut as a member of a juvenile group called the Eight Lancaster Lads, and rapidly won popularity as an outstanding tap dancer. After performing for many years, many comedic acts and vaudeville, Chaplin was invited to join the New York Motion Picture Academy, where he would get paid $150 per week to act in short films. This also was his opportunity to move to the United States, as filming would be in Los Angeles. Needless to say, this was the beginning of everything for him and led him to act in numerous comedies. That being said, this is the second video in a two-part retrospective on Chaplin, looking back at all his major feature films that he wrote, directed, and acted in. The first video focused on the early life of Charlie Chaplin and explored all his features from his first feature, The Kid, to City Lights. This video will focus on the second part of his career. By the way, leave me a comment too and let me know what your favorite comedy moment from any Charlie Chaplin project is. I'm always happy to discover or rediscover interesting moments from Chaplin's career. After the success of City Lights, Chaplin was still unsure if he could make another movie without dialogue. He was convinced that sound would not work on his films, but also knew that technology had evolved and that he needed to keep up with it if he wanted to remain current. Because of this, he took a 16-month break and traveled extensively, which proved to give him some newfound interest in developing a new script. The state of labor in America troubled him, and he feared that capitalism and machinery in the workplace would increase unemployment levels. The concerns are what led Charlie Chaplin into making Modern Times, which was released in 1936 and was a satire on certain phases of our industrial life. This movie tells the story of the little tramp who is employed at a state-of-the-art factory where inescapable machinery completely overwhelms him, leading to various mishaps which keep getting him sent to prison. In between his various jail stints, he meets and befriends an orphan girl. Both together and apart, they try to come to terms with the difficulties of modern life, with the tramp working as a waiter and eventually a performer. Modern Times took 10.5 months to film and was originally intended to have spoken word. During rehearsals, Chaplin changed his mind. Sound effects and music were still used, but no dialogue came out from the tramp's mouth except for Chaplin's performance of a gibberish song. This was the only time to feature the tramp's voice on film. This was his first feature in 15 years to adopt political references and social realism. The 1940s saw Chaplin face a series of controversies, both in work and in his personal life, which affected his popularity in the United States. The first of these was his growing boldness in expressing his political beliefs. This led him to make a satire that attacked fascism entitled The Great Dictator. Chaplin spent 2 years developing the script, and filming began 6 days after Britain declared war on Germany. This is also the first movie where he accepted to use spoken dialogue, partly out of acceptance that he had no other choice, but also because he recognized it as a better method for delivering a political message. This movie follows the story of a Jewish barber who spent years recovering from wounds that occurred to him during the Great War. Unaware of the simultaneous rise of fascist dictator Adenoid Hynkel, also played by Chaplin, and his anti-Semitic policies, when the barber, who bears a remarkable resemblance to Hynkel, returns to his quiet neighborhood, he is stunned by the brutal changes and recklessly joins a beautiful girl and her neighbors in rebelling. The Great Dictator was released in 1940 and generated a vast amount of publicity, and it was one of the biggest moneymakers of the era. The ending, where Chaplin concludes the film with a 5-minute speech in which he abandoned his barber character, looked directly into the camera and pleaded against war and fascism, was not very popular at the time. Even though the movie was a major hit, people identified his overt preaching as triggering a decline in Chaplin's popularity. Despite all this, The Great Dictator did receive 5 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Actor. In the mid-1940s, Chaplin was involved in a series of trials that occupied most of his time and significantly affected his image. The trouble stemmed from his affair with an actress named Joan Barry. Then the director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, who had long been suspicious of Chaplin's political leanings, used the opportunity to generate negative publicity about him. Due to all the allegations and suspicions, it wasn't until April of 1946 that he was finally able to start filming Monsieur Verdoux that had been in development since 1942. The actual movie was released in 1947. Monsieur Verdoux was a black comedy which follows the story of a French bank clerk, Verdoux, who loses his job and begins marrying and murdering wealthy widows to support his family. This movie stemmed from the inspiration given to him by Orson Welles, where he wanted Chaplin to play a French serial killer named Henri Désiré Landru. Chaplin paid Welles $5,000 for the idea, as he felt that it'd make a wonderful comedy. In this movie, Chaplin once again vocalizes his political views, criticizing capitalism and arguing that the world encourages mass killings through war. This movie was met with controversy in America, but did well abroad. His screenplay did get nominated at the Academy Awards, and he seemed to be proud of the movie. The negative reaction to Monsieur Verdoux was largely the result of changes in Chaplin's public image and the fact that he was accused of being a communist. As his activities were widely reported, calls were made to have him deported. Despite all that, the filming of Limelight began in 1951, by which time Chaplin had spent 3 years working on the story. This movie was heavily autobiographical, alluding not only to Chaplin's childhood and the lives of his parents, but also to his loss of popularity in the United States. Limelight aimed for a more serious tone than any of his previous films. This movie also featured a cameo of Buster Keaton, whom Chaplin cast as his stage partner in a pantomime scene. The world premiere of Limelight was in London. As he left Los Angeles, he expressed a premonition that he would not be returning. He was right, as United States General James P. McGranary revoked Charlie Chaplin's re-entry permit the day after he left. After receiving a cablegram about the news, Chaplin decided to cut ties with the United States. Having property and a studio still left in America, he sent his wife to settle his affairs and moved to Switzerland in January 1953. Chaplin remained a controversial figure throughout the 1950s, especially after he was awarded the International Peace Prize. It's also around that time that he started developing his first European film, A King in New York, which was released in 1957. The story revolves around King Igor Shadov, who flees the revolutionaries of Estonia. After arriving in New York City with almost nothing and having a background in theater, Shadov finds work in TV commercials. Chaplin included several of his recent experiences in the play and even cast his son Michael as a 10-year-old boy that he befriends and who is targeted by the FBI. While Chaplin's character faces accusations of communism, enraged at American paranoia, Shadov fights the HUAC for the family's freedom. Critics reviewed A King in New York as bitter and extremely personal to the actor. Following this movie, Chaplin was asked what his political views were, stating that he was an anarchist and that he hated government and rules, that people shouldn't be imprisoned, they should be allowed to be free. In the last 2 decades of his career, Chaplin concentrated on re-editing and scoring his old films for re-release, along with securing their ownership and distribution rights. The last movie that he directed was A Countess from Hong Kong, which was released in 1967. This movie was based on a script by Godard in the 1930s. Set on an ocean liner, it starred Marlon Brando as an American ambassador and Sophia Loren as a stowaway found in his cabin. This movie differed a lot from his previous works, as it was in Technicolor and made use of the widescreen format. This movie did also feature Chaplin in a small cameo role as a seasick steward. This movie earned negative reviews, which is a bit sad as it turned out to be his last. Chaplin suffered a series of minor strokes in the late 1960s, which marked the beginning of a slow decline in his health. He did live many more years and passed away in 1977. He was 88 years old at the time. All I can say is that Charlie Chaplin had a monumental career and pioneered movie making and comedy in such a way that his work has transcended up to this day, and I'm sure will remain relevant for centuries to come. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this look into one of the most iconic comedians of cinema history. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. As always, do leave me a comment too if you'd like to share something about Charlie Chaplin and his life. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.